The sun was just crawling over the ridge when I turned off the county road. Tires crunching on the gravel of the driveway I'd spent 20 years paying for. Never mind the sweat and sleepless nights that went into making that little stretch of earth mine. And I swear to you, the second I rounded that last bend and saw a mess of tents scattered across my meadow, like somebody had upended a bag of Skittles on my grass, I knew the world had lost its mind. There were coolers being dragged through the wildflowers, camp chairs unfolding where my cattle used to graze, and a pack of kids chasing a golden retriever that, for all I knew, had never seen a leash. And right in the thick of it all was Karen. Yeah, that Karen. She's hard to miss. Bright pink visor, sunglasses you could land a plane with, barking out orders and waving like she was running for office, except it was my land and nobody asked for my vote. Let me back up a sec, because this isn't the first time Karen's crossed the line. Last year, she led a community hike that somehow turned into a picnic on my property, and 2 goats ended up missing for 3 days. I'd written a polite warning, thinking maybe she'd learn. Yeah, right. So as I watched her setting up like she was the queen of the HOA carnival, clipboard in hand, it hit me. This wasn't a misunderstanding, it was a full-on invasion. My heart didn't even race. I just felt this cold, steady resolve, like when you know a chess game's over before it starts because you can already see the checkmate's 6 moves ahead. They didn't know about the new gate. They didn't know about the cameras tucked into the tree line. And, they had no idea I was watching from the hilltop, not saying a word. So I killed the truck engine and just sat there, studying the show. Karen was rallying her troops, a playlist blasting something chirpy through the meadow, folks laying out tarps, volunteers digging a fire pit like they'd bought stock in the place. I mean, you had to laugh. Except it was my land, my fences, my quiet. I drove down to the main gate, steel, forest green, the only key in my pocket. And when Karen spotted me, she tried that neighborly wave with a side of "Don't you dare." I didn't wave back, just rolled the window down and let her know, loud enough for half the meadow to hear. "You're trespassing. This is private property." Her smile vanished. She fired back some nonsense about community rights and shared easement, but her voice wobbled. Easement. That word echoed in my head like a sitcom laugh track. I parked, locked the gate behind me with a heavy bar, the click ringing out like a warning shot, and climbed back in the truck. I could see folks pausing, tools in midair, kids looking confused. 30 seconds later, Karen was at the gate, shaking it, calling my name like I'd come rescue her from her own circus. She didn't get it yet. Nobody did. 50 strangers, locked on my land, and the only way out was through me. My phone buzzed, my lawyer, checking in like clockwork. I answered, real calm. It started. Now, I didn't just stumble into owning this place. Years of overtime, a lawsuit over water rights, fights with the county to keep my taxes from swallowing me alive. Every inch of it earned, paid for twice over in headaches and hard work. Watching Karen treat it like a public park, it turned my stomach, but it also lit a spark. This was my stage now. The first act, and she had no clue what was coming. Around noon, with everyone pretending nothing was wrong, the music got louder, the grill started up, and you could feel the mood shifting, like a storm creeping up on a picnic. Cell phones came out, but the no signal icon greeted every one of them. I'd picked this patch of nowhere for that very reason. The only bars around here are under the pines. Karen was rallying her people, but I watched through binoculars as a group of men tried to sneak out the back, only to get bogged down in the marsh. They slunk back, shoes muddy, egos bruised. By late afternoon, the sun was cooking the meadow, and Karen's team was looking a little less festive, a lot more sunburnt. I waited. Patience is a weapon in a standoff, and I've got plenty. When night fell, I watched from the cabin, coffee in hand, as their laughter turned to snapping voices and the crack of something. A folding chair, or maybe nerves, snapping in the dark. Let me tell you, nothing will fracture a group faster than a shared crisis, especially when their self-appointed leader starts to wobble. Next morning, I made myself visible, just enough to keep the pot boiling. Parked the truck near the gate, sipped my coffee, and let Karen come to me. She called for a negotiation. I just raised a hand, silent. The quiet got under her skin more than any words. Soon, the cracks widened. Parents wanted their kids let out. Someone muttered about the police. Karen snapped, "I've got this," but nobody was buying it. My phone buzzed, a text from my lawyer. "Sheriff's briefed, I'm clear. Not kidnapping, just trespassing. If they wanted to hike out on foot, the stream was their friend. Their cars, though, still mine. That was the real leverage. Karen tried to wave a printout at me, claimed it was an ancient easement. I laughed. Years and thousands of dollars I'd spent killing that loophole for good. I told her, get a court order, then we'll talk. The crowd wasn't buying what she was selling. In fact, a couple were snickering behind her back. Time to tighten the screws. I let my cattle dogs run the fence. Not mean, just loud. They kept the campers jumpy. Karen's voice rose higher, but her authority was draining out like a slow leak. By afternoon, folks started making for the creek, only to hit mud and rough ground. One guy in a red bandana tried to make nice, said he'd just been invited, didn't know. I told him straight, sheriff's coming tomorrow. Nobody's moving a vehicle till then. He swore and stormed off. That night, thunder rolled in. Real cinematic, right? And as the rain hit, you could feel the willpower drain from that crowd. By morning, everyone was packing up, angry and silent, shooting daggers at Karen. The sheriff showed up, all business, cited every one of them for trespass, and hit Karen with a fat bill for damages. Her mascara ran like a river. She tried to protest, but the sheriff just shook his head. When they all rolled out, mud-caked, pride wounded, Karen refused to look me in the eye. I walked the property, checking fences, found fresh footprints near the creek, small ones, sneaky, heading for the trees. Pulled up my cameras, and, sure enough, saw Karen creeping in at 3 a.m., probably trying to set up another nuisance. So I called my lawyer, upgraded my security, and played Karen's game right back. Invited the local reporter, gave him a tour of the wreckage, even showed him footage of Karen's midnight capers. By sundown, the story was out. About trespassers, about boundaries, about how quickly entitlement turns to trouble. The days that followed turned into a chess match. Survey flags planted on my field, drones buzzing my meadow, legal letters piling up. Karen's lawyer sent a threat. I sent a counterclaim. She staged a demonstration on the county road, cameras rolling, her bullhorn calling me a bully. I just sipped coffee, let the sheriff sort it out, and let my evidence folder grow thicker by the day. Yeah, it got wild for a minute. Accusations flying online, Karen spinning the story, her supporters chanting about public access while the law backed me every step. And when the restraining order came down, Karen barred from coming within 100 yards of my land. Well, I can't say I cheered, but I slept better that night. She didn't stop, not really. New flags, new accusations, new videos trying to paint herself as some folk hero. But now, the land itself was healing. Meadow greening up, wildflowers poking through, the air finally settling back to what it was supposed to be, quiet, steady mine. I kept picking up trash, hammering new posts, planting wildflower seeds where the scars were deepest, each action a kind of reclaiming, proof that patience outlasts bluster. And as the local paper ran its final headline, entitlement meets its match, I sat on my porch, dogs curled up at my feet, and let myself feel something like peace. Sure, I know this won't be the last boundary I ever have to defend. People like Karen, they test the line forever, always hunting for a weakness. But for now, with the sheriff's order holding, her lawyer quitting, and the valley settling into the silence it deserves, I'd call it a victory. And if you ask me what the real lesson is, well, it's this. Sometimes you have to outlast the storm, not outrun it. You have to document, stay steady, hold your ground even when the world's watching and the noise gets loud. Because, end of the day, the land remembers who fought for it, and the law, when you're patient, tends to catch up to the truth. So, you tell me, was I wrong to stand my ground? Was I too harsh? Or is there something worth protecting in a world where lines are always getting blurred? I'd love to hear where you stand on this, because, trust me, there's more than one side to every fence. And sometimes the real story's what happens after the gate finally closes.